I still smell the smoke. Even now, years later, when the rain falls too heavy or the wind turns warm at night, that same smell finds me, burnt palm oil, wood, and flesh. People say memories fade, but not that one. That fire burned more than a woman's stall. It burned my peace. Her name was a jock, and I helped destroy her. The day it all began, the market was loud as always, children shouting, traders haggling, goats crying for no reason. My tomatoes sat red and perfect on their tray, glistening under the Lego sun. Beside me, Mama Tignola was already complaining. She always complained when business was slow. But that morning, she wasn't just angry. She was planning. Look around, she said, twisting her gold-colored wrapper. Everyone is talking about a jock again. Her pot is full, her line is long, and mine, she hissed, mine is empty. We all laughed weakly. That's what you do when a powerful woman talks, you laugh, even if your stomach turns. Then she whistled. A sharp sound, like someone calling a stray dog. 4 of us followed her. I don't even know why I did, maybe curiosity, maybe fear. Maybe envy. She led us to the back of her stall, to the closed section with the tinted glass and the noisy fan. The air there smelled of onions, perfume, and secrets. That was the day the meeting started, the one people now whisper about in the village like a curse. We didn't gather as gossipers. We gathered as judges. And the judgment was simple, a jock must go. When Tignola spoke, we listened. She had a voice that could slice yam. She's using something, she said. A charm, a spell, something unnatural. Nobody's food draws men like that without power. Even the palace wants her stew. Tell me how. The others murmured in agreement. Mama Felicia fanned herself and said, and she has no husband. A woman with no man and no helper shouldn't be that successful. I remember staring at my fingers then, feeling shame crawl under my skin. A jock had always been kind to me, once, she even fed me for free when my child was sick. But I said nothing. Fear is a coward's tongue. They went on, whispering, planning, their words sharp like pepper. We'll show her she's not the only one with hands to cook, Al-Hojatoyan spat. By the time we left, the decision was sealed. We had turned our jealousy into a weapon, and we didn't even know what we had just started. At first, I thought it would be small, just rumors. And indeed, it started that way. Whispers in corners. Customers murmuring. Her food smells different. Her pot is black from more than firewood. She visited a native woman in Ojo. Within a week, the entire market was talking. I watched from my stall as people avoided hers, pretending not to see her smile. Even children stopped running to her counter. I saw her hands tremble when she stirred her stew. Still, she said nothing. She just prayed and kept cooking. But then strange things began. Her cooking water went missing. Her salt turned to sand. Her firewood broke for no reason. And one day, her stew turned bitter, she screamed, thinking her pot was cursed. I stood nearby, pretending to pick tomatoes, but my heart was beating so loud I could barely breathe. Then she saw something, an old woman in white, standing barefoot across the road, pointing at her. Everyone saw her vanish into the crowd. I still don't know if that was real or just her fear made flesh. The day she confronted us, I couldn't even meet her eyes. She came out from her store, hands wet with soot, wrapper dragging behind her. Her voice shook, but it was powerful, like thunder hiding in tears. You think I'm still here because of charm, she shouted. You think I fed your children, your husbands, your visitors, because of juju. Let the ground swallow me now if I've ever used anything but pepper and prayer. Her words hit me like stones. I almost cried right there. But no one spoke. Mama Yumisi just hissed. If you're clean, prove it. Ajok looked at us one by one, her eyes burning holes into our silence. You all know me, she said softly. You know I never took from you. But if goodness now looks like witchcraft to you, then maybe you were never clean yourselves. I looked down. Everyone did. Only one woman, Bisola, had tears in her eyes. Ajok walked away that day with her head high, but her heart broken. And I followed the others home, pretending it was over. But it was only beginning. 3 days later, chaos erupted. Some thugs came to the market, 3 men in boots, claiming to be sanitation officials. They tore her stall apart, spilled her food, shouted that they'd found a charm wrapped in nylon under her pot. Ajok screamed that it was just dry locust bean. Nobody listened. People recorded with their phones, laughing, shouting, "She's been feeding us jazz." I stood there frozen, my hands cold. I wanted to say something, but fear kept my mouth shut. When the elders came, they didn't even investigate. They banned her, our Ajok, from the market the same day. She didn't fight. She didn't curse. She just picked up her broken pot and walked away. And that night, when I closed my stall, the laughter of the other woman felt like the sound of something dying. Sometimes, when I sleep, I still hear her voice from that day, trembling, wounded, but strong. I gave this town love in every spoon, and you spat in the pot. And though the years have passed, sometimes when the air turns heavy with smoke, I hear it again. Louder. Closer. Her fire didn't end that night. It only waited. It started with a sound. Soft. Faint. Like someone stirring a pot far away. At first, I thought it was just my imagination. But the more I tried to ignore it, the louder it grew, that slow, rhythmic swish, swish, swish of a wooden spoon scraping a pot that wasn't there. Every night it came closer. Sometimes I woke up to the smell of burning palm oil, thick, smoky, choking. I would jump from bed, rush to the kitchen, only to find my fire cold and my pot empty. The smell lingered, though. It clung to my clothes, to my hair, to my skin. Even my husband said, "Shady, why do you smell like cooked pepper in your sleep?" I had no answer. They said Ajok left the market quietly that day. But the next morning, someone said they saw her sitting behind her house, staring at the same pot that had once made her famous. They said her firewood wouldn't burn, that she cried until her voice cracked like old bamboo. When I heard that, something twisted inside me, guilt, maybe. Or fear. Or both. I wanted to go see her. To say something. But I didn't. Because fear is the cruelest master. 2 days later, Mama Felicia came to my stall early. "Have you heard?" she whispered. I shook my head. "She's still cooking. Behind her house." I tried to sound normal. "Maybe she's trying to start again." Felicia snorted. "Start again? After the market banned her? After we warned her?" "No, Shady. Some people don't learn. I tell you, that woman's fire burns from another world." Her words made my stomach tighten. The others joined in, Mama Tinuola, Alhoja Toyen, and Mama Yemisi, their voices blending like a poisonous choir. "She thinks she can fool the town again. Let her try. We'll finish what we started. If she dares light that pot, we'll make sure she never cooks again." I sat there, pretending to smile, but inside my heart screamed. They didn't know that I had seen Ajok's tears. They didn't know that her voice haunted my sleep. That evening, I couldn't eat. My stew turned sour on my tongue. Every bite felt like sand. When I finally closed my stall and went home, I found a small clay bowl on my doorstep, half filled with red stew, cold, but smelling sweet. Too sweet. There was no note. No knock. No trace. Just that bowl. And my name carved on the side in ash. My knees went weak. I wanted to scream, but no sound came. I kicked it away, hard, watching it shatter across the ground. The stew spilled into the dirt like blood. That night, the voice returned. Only this time, it wasn't just stirring. It was singing. A soft, broken hum, the same tune a jock used to hum while cooking in the market. The one we used to mock her for. I covered my ears. I prayed. But prayers can't drown guilt. By morning, I looked like a woman who had seen a ghost. Felicia laughed at me when she saw my eyes. "You look like you saw the woman herself," she said, fanning her face. I forced a laugh, but something in her words froze me, because that same afternoon, someone did see her. Baba, the old man who sold firewood near the mechanic's shed, swore on his life that he brought her a bundle of wood and that she thanked him. "She looked weak," he said, but she smiled. Her eyes were different, though, too quiet. 2 nights later, Baba was found dead near his shed, his hands black with soot, his mouth open, as if trying to shout a name. People said it was old age. But I knew better. Then came the fire. I was sleeping when I heard the first scream. It sliced through the night like a blade. I sat up, heart pounding. Then another scream, louder, desperate. "Help me. Somebody help me, please." I rushed to the window, and what I saw made my soul leave my body. Flames, high, red, wild, swallowing a jock's small shed behind her house. Sparks leapt into the air, lighting up the night like angry stars. She was inside, crying for help, her voice hoarse, terrified. But no one came. Not one door opened. Not one man lifted a bucket. The whole street stood in shadows, watching. I wanted to run out. I swear I did. But my legs froze. Fear nailed me to the floor. I watched as the fire rose higher, her screams turned into sobs, then into silence. And when the roof finally collapsed, I heard her voice, faint but clear, rising with the smoke. "You will eat from me again." The next morning, her body was gone. They said the fire burned too hot, too fast, leaving nothing but ashes, and that black pot of hers melted into the ground. But that wasn't true. Because 3 days later, I saw her. She stood by the river at dusk, her wrapper white as smoke, her face dark as night. Her eyes found mine, and though I couldn't breathe, I heard her voice inside my head. "You fed on my shame," she whispered, "now feed on your own." Then she vanished into the water. From that night, everything in the market began to rot. Stew spoiled before noon. Tomatoes turned black overnight. Even salt lost its taste. People whispered again, but this time they didn't blame a jock. They blamed us, the women. One by one, things started happening. Mama Felicia's store caught fire. Al-Hodja Toyan's child fell sick. Mama Yemisi's husband ran mad, screaming about a woman in white. And me? I began to dream of a pot, always boiling, never empty, calling my name. Now, when I sit alone at night, I still hear that spoon. Swish, swish, swish. Sometimes I whisper to the darkness, "A jock, please, I'm sorry." But the pot never stops. And neither does the smell. Because guilt, once cooked, never cools. It's strange how a curse doesn't always come with thunder. Sometimes it begins quietly, like the smell of stew burning before you notice the fire. By the time we realized what was happening, it was already too late. After a jock's death, the market tried to move on. New women came with shiny pots, new spices, new laughter. But nothing tasted right anymore. The stew was either too salty or too flat. The customers stopped coming as much. Some said the food made their stomachs twist. The air itself changed. It was heavier, thicker, like smoke that never left. Everywhere I turned, I could still smell her. That same scent, palm oil, wood smoke, and something else. Something human. I tried to convince myself it was all in my head. But then I saw Mama Felicia again. Her eyes were red, her hands trembling as she stirred her pot. "It's happening to me too," she whispered. "My firewood won't light. My stew turns bitter every day. Even my own husband won't eat from me anymore." Before I could answer, she froze, staring at her spoon. There was something on it. A small black mark that looked like ash, or a finger. She screamed and dropped it. The next morning, they found her stall in ruins. The pot had burst open like a cracked skull. The fire was still burning, though no one had lit it. Felicia herself was gone. Only her wrapper was found, hanging from the market fence, soaked in stew. Fear spread faster than flies. The women who had gathered in that meeting began to vanish, one by one. Some went mad, talking about the pot calling their names. Others simply disappeared. And the smell, that smell grew stronger every day. It followed me home. It crept into my dreams. Sometimes I woke up to see smoke curling from the corners of my ceiling, forming the shape of a woman's face. Her eyes were always open, burnt, hollow, endless. I stopped cooking. I couldn't even touch oil or onions without trembling. My husband thought I was bewitched. Maybe I was. Then came the night I saw her again. The moon was full, pale like her face had been in the flames. I had gone out to fetch water from the well behind my house. The night was quiet, too quiet. No crickets. No wind. Then I heard it, that same sound. Swish, swish, swish. I turned, and there she was. Standing by the well. Her wrapper was wet, clinging to her body. Her hair was loose, dripping like riverweed. Her skin, oh God, her skin looked burned, but still glowing beneath the wounds. I tried to speak, but no sound came out. She looked at me with those eyes that used to laugh while stirring her pot, and said softly, "Are you full now, Shady?" My knees gave out. I fell to the ground. She stepped closer, the smell of burnt pepper filling the air. "I fed your hunger," she whispered, "and you fed my fire." Then she lifted her blackened hand and pressed her finger against my forehead. It burned like coal. I screamed. The world spun. When I woke up, I was lying beside the well, my water pot broken. A small scar shaped like a spoon sat in the middle of my forehead. The next day, I went to the elders. They looked at me like I was mad. "You're still dreaming of that woman," one said. "She's dead, Shady. Forget her." "But how do you forget smoke that breathes?" I ran to the church next. The pastor prayed, poured anointing oil on my head, and said, "If her spirit troubles you, confess your sins before God." Confess. That word followed me home like a ghost. So that night, I sat before my cold pot and spoke to the darkness. "Yes, I wronged her," I whispered. "We all did. But I didn't light the fire. I didn't pour the kerosene. I only stayed quiet." And then a voice answered. "Silence burns too." I froze. The air grew heavy. The flame under my pot, the one I hadn't lit, suddenly flickered to life. I stumbled back, watching in horror as the stew inside began to bubble on its own. From inside the pot, a spoon rose slowly, blackened, floating, and stirred itself. I screamed and ran. For days, I stayed away from home, sleeping in the mosque courtyard, afraid to even look at my kitchen. But no matter where I went, the pot found me. I'd hear it, behind me, beside me, sometimes in my dreams. Always that same rhythm. Swish, swish, swish. One morning, I went back home, tired of running. My front door was open. The smell was waiting. I walked inside, trembling. My pot was sitting on the table, clean, shining. But when I touched it, it felt warm, alive. Then I heard a whisper from inside it. Eat. I don't know what possessed me. I picked up the spoon and looked inside. There was stew, red, rich, and sweet-smelling, just like a jock's used to be. My mouth watered against my will. I took one taste. Just one. It burned my tongue. Not from pepper, from pain. 1,000 screams filled my ears, echoing through my body. Faces appeared in the steam, the women, the thugs, the elders, all burning, all crying. And in the middle of it, a jock's face. You wanted my taste, she said, her voice deep and hollow, now live with it. The spoon slipped from my hand. The pot went silent. But the taste, it never left. It's been weeks now. I can't eat anything else. Every food tastes like that stew. Sweet. Smoky. Bitter. And sometimes, when I look in the mirror, I see her, behind me, smiling, holding her spoon. Her lips don't move, but I can still hear her voice. You will eat from me again. I didn't think the curse would spread beyond me. I thought I could carry it alone, like guilt hidden under a wrapper, silent and heavy. But I was wrong. By the next moon, the whole town began to rot. It started small, a trader's pot bursting open during morning prep, a customer collapsing after one spoon of stew. Then chickens stopped laying eggs. The fishmongers swore their catch turned black overnight. The air itself became thick, sour, and wet, like it had been cooked too long. Even rain began to smell like oil. The elders said it was a sign of God's anger. The pastor said it was witchcraft. But deep down, we all knew what it was. It was her. A jock. The woman we burned in silence. I remember the day the ground itself seemed to protest. It was a Tuesday morning. The market was half empty. The woman who remained worked nervously, whispering prayers between customers. Suddenly, from somewhere near the center of the square, came a loud cracking sound, like a calabash breaking in two. Then screams. When we ran there, we found Mama Yumisi's store, the one closest to where a jock used to cook, split open by a crack in the earth. Smoke poured out of it. Thick, black, choking smoke that smelled like stew and blood. People shouted, running for buckets of water. But the smoke didn't burn anything around, it just curled upward, forming the faint shape of a woman holding a spoon. Every soul there froze. And then, as if the air itself could speak, a voice whispered through the wind. Let them taste what they gave me. The ground closed. The smoke vanished. But the smell, that smell of burnt palm oil and tears, stayed for days. That night, I couldn't sleep. I sat outside my house with a lantern, staring at my pot, still scarred from the night it stirred on its own. I hadn't cooked since then. I hadn't eaten properly either. But still, every morning, I woke up with the taste of stew on my tongue. I started hearing her voice in daylight now, soft, calm, almost kind. Do you still pray before you cook, Shady? Do you still pretend that envy is hunger? I'd cover my ears, but her laughter would fill my chest. And sometimes, it sounded like my own. 3 nights later, Mama Tinola came knocking on my door. She looked like a shadow of herself, eyes sunken, gold wrapper stained, hair undone. Please, she whispered. She's in my dreams. Every night. She says she's coming for me next. Her hands shook so bad I had to hold them. We need to confess, I said. Before the town falls apart completely. She nodded, sobbing. Tomorrow. We'll tell everything to the elders tomorrow. But tomorrow never came. Because that same night, her house caught fire. And when the neighbors tried to open her door, it wouldn't budge. They said they heard laughter, a woman's laughter, coming from inside. By dawn, nothing remained but ashes, and a single spoon melted into the floor. After that, no one in Edure wanted to talk about a jock again. The market was abandoned. The stalls were left to rot. Even the birds stopped perching on the trees near her old spot. I started going there every day. I'd sit where her fire used to burn, close my eyes, and whisper, "I'm sorry." But no wind answered. No forgiveness came. One evening, I saw a small boy walking through the empty square. He couldn't have been more than 8. He stopped right at a jock's old place and looked around like he was listening. Then, to my horror, he sat down, took a small pot out of his bag, and started lighting a fire. I ran toward him. "What are you doing, child?" He looked up, smiling. "Mama says this is where good food begins." I froze. His eyes, they looked just like hers. Dark. Shiny. Eternal. Before I could speak, he poured oil into the pot, humming softly. The same tune a jock used to hum. And when the first bubbles rose, the smell hit me. That smell. Sweet, smoky, perfect. I stepped back, trembling. "Who is your mother?" I asked. He grinned, showing tiny white teeth. "She said you'd ask that." Then he whispered, "She said to tell you she forgave you." My heart stopped. "Forgave me?" He nodded. "But she said forgiveness has taste. You must eat to believe." Before I could run, he held out the spoon. The same spoon, shiny, curved, familiar. Steam curled around it, forming her face for just a second. Her smile. Her marks. Her eyes. "Eat, shady," she whispered. And I did. I don't know why. Maybe because guilt is a kind of hunger too. The moment it touched my tongue, the world tilted. My body went weak. The market faded. The sky burned red. I saw her then, standing in her white wrapper, calm, whole, beautiful. No burns. No anger. Just peace. "You cooked lies," she said softly. "Now truth is cooking you." She reached out her hand, and everything went dark. They say the market reopened months later. They say the new woman who came to cook there make the best stew anyone's ever tasted, red, rich, unforgettable. But when people ask what's in it, they just smile and say, "We don't know." It's her recipe. And if you pass by Edure on a hot afternoon, when the smoke from the stalls rises into the sky, you might hear it, faint but clear, that steady rhythm echoing through the air. Swish, swish, swish. A woman's spoon. A woman's revenge. A woman's truth finally served hot.